All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Happy Sunday. And we are getting to the very end of our little video series here. We are just about to wrap it up. Just got a couple more videos to get through here. Today is going to be number 2 in our list, the second most valuable player for the 2025 Seattle Seahawks, in my estimation. Most of you guys have probably already figured out how the rest of this list is going to go, but for those of you who maybe haven't, or maybe still just want to hear what I have to say about it, whether or not you've already figured it out, let's go ahead and get to it. My second most valuable player for the 2025 Seattle Seahawks. Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. We're going with Byron Murphy II. Byron Murphy II is my second place player. And to me, this is where it really all starts when you're talking about this defense. Because one thing that I've talked about a lot in this series is the very unique and very rare and seemingly impossible feat the Seattle Seahawks pulled off in 2025, where they had a defense that lived in nickel and a defense that was also the best in the NFL against the run. If you go by EPA, by the way, they were best against the run by a ridiculously large margin, like a comically large margin, an impossibly large margin. And there are a lot of different reasons why the defense was able to do that. So I'm not going to sit here and say it was only because of one person. But if I had to pick one person I would give the most credit to, it would probably be Byron Murphy. And you got to understand all the things that go into the equation here with Byron Murphy. He is playing on the defensive line, so he is constantly the guy closest to the football and the guy constantly taking contact at the line of scrimmage. But he's also kind of playing out of position because the Seahawks use him as basically a nose tackle. I know that he doesn't always purely play the one tech. We do try to do some things to give him some more opportunities to get after the quarterback. But overall, when you're talking about Byron Murphy, you are talking about a three tech who is playing out of position most of the time. So right off the bat, you should be running into some trouble there. That should be an issue. You've got Leonard Williams, who is fantastic, one of the best players in football. And then you got Byron Murphy, kind of does some of the same things that Williams does. On some teams, that would be a bottleneck. But on this team, it wasn't. Byron Murphy playing, I say it again, out of position, not a natural nose tackle, does such an amazing job at nose tackle that it ends up working in our team's favor. So Byron Murphy II, the value is off the charts here. He played all 17 games, played all 3 games in the playoffs, played a full load of snaps, over 800 regular, or almost 800, regular season snaps. So he was absolutely a full-time player, not like last year. Last year he played little less than half of the snaps, but this year, significant upgrade, puts up tackle numbers, 62 tackles, so he's not just a space eater. I want to say it again, he is effectively our nose tackle, but he is still registering close to, 5 tackles a game on average, 4 to 5 tackles per game. And, by the way, he is a very good pass rusher. These things don't exist very often when you're talking about NFL players. He had 7 sacks last year. Pro Football Reference has him at 21 pressures. This guy gets after the quarterback too, despite playing out of position and mostly being focused on stopping the run. It's an incredible package. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball, we got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like, Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it. Check it out. and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. I know I just kind of made his case. I know I just kind of made I think a pretty compelling argument for Byron Murphy, but it's really hard to describe how incredible his play was last year and how valuable he was to this team. With a lesser player, this defense doesn't work the way that it does. This defense is either going to give up more against the run, or it's going to be forced out of nickel more often to accommodate the fact that they're not as good against the run. And again, I want to stress, a lot of players are responsible for this. Eamon, Witherspoon, Ernest Jones. To some extent, you could even say guys like Kobe Bryant, Julian Love, Leonard Williams, but Murphy to me is kind of the central point. And that says a lot. And by the way, if you want to go to Pro Football Focus, they like him well enough. They're not enamored with him the way that I think they should be. They think that he's a well above average, effective, good player. They think that for some reason, they think he's bad against the run, which I'll say again makes no sense, because they don't think that a lot of our players are good against the run, but we have the best run defense in football. That doesn't make any sense. I'd like to know what Pro Football Focus thinks goes into these decisions, because the best run defense in football should be loaded with defenders that have elite run grades, right? That's just common sense. If you go to Pro Football Focus's stats for pressures, look at how many pressures they give Byron Murphy. It was, let's see here, 62 in 20 games, which includes the postseason. So if you cut out the postseason, that is 50 pressures in 17 games from a 3-tech who is effectively playing out of position. That's very, very special. And I know that might indicate on some level that a lot of his pressures are soft, but at the same time, you wouldn't expect a lot of his pressures to be hard pressures when he's playing basically nose tackle. And again, I want to stress, I know it's not quite that simple. I know he's not literally playing the nose all the time, but he isn't playing a lot of 3-tech, right? That's Leonard's spot. That's Big Cat. So, by the way, the postseason, he was great, got a lot of pressures, and had a tremendous Super Bowl, 2 sacks, and recovered a fumble. So he showed up when we needed it the most. He was on the list. I'm not saying that he should have won. I don't know about that, but he was on the list for Super Bowl MVP, I'm sure. It could have been Walker, could have been Witherspoon, could have been Myers. Don't forget about Murphy. Derek Hall's probably in there too a little bit, but Byron Murphy could have been a part of that convo as well. A couple of sacks, recovered a fumble that really flipped the game. Like, you've got something very uniquely special here. And the thing that's the most exciting, of course, is just the fact that he's only 23 years old. Guy might get better this year. A guy probably should. Like, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about a guy who can get double-digit sacks playing out of position? Is he really going to get 10 sacks effectively being our nose this year and then turn into some 14, 15 sack a year guy when he moves to 3-tech full-time? This is not what he was doing in college, right? In college, he got a lot of pressure, but he got very few sacks. He was actually very, very stunted in that area. He was not a guy who finished very much. And now suddenly in the pros, he's really become that guy. Doesn't happen very often, but it seems like it's happened here. So for all those reasons, Byron Murphy is my second most valuable player on the Seahawks. To me, he sums up our number one defense more than any other one player. And again, I want to stress, because I know that there's going to be some disagreement here. Some people are going to say Ernest Jones. Some people are going to say even a Nick Eamon. Some people might say Witherspoon, although I don't know about that this year. And this also goes for Eamon as well, because of all the games they missed. And maybe on a game-per-game basis, you could make arguments for guys like Eamon or Witherspoon. But to me, Murphy's constant availability, being available for all 20 games we played last year, being productive, and being a space eater in the middle, can't beat it. You cannot beat it. And I want to stress again, he was there in the postseason. He did his thing in the playoffs, had 2 sacks in the Super Bowl, was probably one of our top 5 candidates for Super Bowl MVP. And again, it's probably going to get better, right? He's going to play in a football game, a real regular season football game in a couple months here, and he's still going to be 23 years old. It would be shocking if he peaked as a player at 23 years old. So we are going places with Byron Murphy. Very good places. And we haven't even seen the final form here. I really do believe that. This is a unique player. And I don't know how much longer Leonard Williams is going to be here. For all I know, this is the last year of his current deal. He may not play in Seattle beyond this year. Maybe he sticks around a couple more years, but when Byron Murphy, when he gets to play 3-tech full time, which will probably happen at some point, watch out. Watch out, man. Gonna be terrifying. All right. That's really all I got to say. Can't get better than this guy. Definitely should have gotten some accolades. The fact that he's not an all-pro or pro bowler to me is a joke. I understand that Leonard Williams got those accolades, and they're only really going to give it to one guy most of the time. But to me, the performance of Byron Murphy was well worth, I'd say, even more than what Leonard Williams got. And I'm not saying that Leonard Williams didn't deserve what he got, but I think Murphy, for being just as effective playing out of position, you got to give some serious love here. Okay, I will see you guys either later today or tomorrow. Go Hawks. Like I said, we got one more player, and you guys already know who it is if you've been paying any attention, but we'll have some fun with it tomorrow, regardless, unless something big happens between now and tomorrow. And see you guys then. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great rest of your day.